It is not our intention to impact those that are hunting and using firearms for hunting. And we acknowledge and regret that the consultations that we undertook were not sufficient and that there were gaps and problems in the amendments. That's why we've retracted them.
He is doing this because he got caught, and because Canadians of all walks of life from across the country, law-abiding, decent, Indigenous Canadians, farmers, rural Canadians who follow the law, stood up with Conservatives and forced him to temporarily pause this plan.
As you just heard there, the Liberals are axing a controversial amendment to their gun bill. The amendment would have added popular hunting rifles to a list of banned firearms in Canada and had prompted backlash when it was introduced, even among some Liberals themselves. The Liberals' move comes as recent polling shows the Tories making some gains nationally. So, what's behind the U-turn on gun control? The Sunday strategy session is here. Kathleen Monk is a former NDP strategist and director of communications to the late Jack Layton. Corey Teneycke was Ontario Premier Doug Ford's campaign manager and former director of communications for Prime Minister Stephen Harper. And Scott Reid is a CTV News political analyst and former communications director to Prime Minister Paul Martin. Hi, everybody. Good to see you today. Kathleen, I'm going to start with you. How big of a deal do you think it is that the Liberals walk back on these amendments? And more importantly, why do you think they did?
I think, it was clear that Minister Mendicino waved the white flag in December, but we didn't expect these amendments to actually be pulled as quickly as they were. But I think they just want to actually get the bill passed. They want to have this firearms legislation done so they can move past it and avoid some of the attacks that were coming from Mr. Poilievre and the Conservative caucus, that they are weak when it comes to, this has always been a kind of a battleground for all political parties. I mean, if there's one rule in political politics, it's like when gun legislation comes up, there'll be lots of political posturing and fundraising off of it. And that's what's happened. And so basically, I think with the Liberals moving quickly to withdraw these amendments, they basically are trying to put it to bed and have the legislation in hand that they need to secure the urban areas of Canada.
Yeah, they had sort of signaled, as Kathleen mentions, Corey, that they were open to changes, but they didn't say for sure, it's all going to be gone. And this is a pretty significant walkback of the amendments, which were weirdly kind of introduced in the first place. What do you think is behind that kind of decision at this point in time?
I'm frankly quite perplexed. Look, as a hunter and a firearms enthusiast myself, I'm very happy that this is being pulled back. But as a political strategist and campaign manager, I'm really perplexed by it because I think this is a good wedge issue for them in places where they need to win. Gun control is very popular with urban Canadians, particularly women. It's a values issue more than a crime issue, but it's a good wedge for them, and so I'm perplexed why they take that off the table. I think it's been working well for them, but on a policy basis, very happy about it. Couldn't be happier.
Scott, what about you? Do you have any sense as to why they would walk this one back?
Well, they had a Santa Claus problem. If you're going to make a list, you better check it twice. And look, there's one amendment is fundamentally a list of firearms that were going to be banned. And it was a crummy list. And it was obvious almost from the get-go. So Corey's right. When you're on the high ground of restricting the use of guns, restricting access to firearms, that's a good wedge issue. That's a good political place for you to be. But when you're on defense saying, well, wait a second, this particular model isn't actually, an assault rifle. It's really more of a hunting rifle. Yeah, okay, well, we're going to, they just, they reached a point, I think, particularly with their NDP colleagues on the committee where they said, can we fix this thing or do we have to scrap it? They decided to scrap it. My complaint isn't that they did it this late. It's that they didn't do it earlier. I think they should have done it before Christmas when they first seemed to acknowledge that there was a challenge. But fundamentally, it's a bad list, and they couldn't get it through, and they had to pull it.
Does this have anything to do, Kathleen, do you think, with some of the public polling? I know they'll have their own internals, but some of the public polling we've seen over the last few weeks, which does, both Nanos and Abacus, show the Conservatives with a bit of momentum, at least from a national perspective?
Yeah, I think the Conservatives know that their base is mobilized by the gun issue. But the problem is, as Corey pointed out, it's the suburban voters that they actually want gun legislation. They don't want to see guns near our playgrounds or in our urban centers or in our cities. So I think in some ways that, yes, the Liberal strategy was to use this gun legislation as a wedge. But when they lost the Bloc, they lost the NDP, they said, you know what, let's just get the gun legislation, secure this for our urban centers, and not let Poilievre and the Conservative caucus to continually hit them over the head with this, because actually the Liberals are polling okay on crime right now, but you'll see it in Poilievre's messaging that he keeps on bringing up crime rates of bail issues time and time again, because why? He's trying to weaken the Liberals on that one issue. That's a Harper strategy. Harper used it time and time again when he was in office. It was always the threat of crime in the suburban areas that he used against him, and Poilievre's taking a similar tact.
Do you think it's going to be effective, Corey? And the reason, I mean, there's a reason that they're doing it as well, motivated by current events, right? Like there's been a rash of terrible headlines that I think a lot of Canadians are unsettled by. But do you think the argument that it's Trudeau's fault is convincing?
Well, I don't think people blame any politician in particular for the crime that they're seeing, but I do think there's a responsibility and to clean it up. It is not just headlines. Like when you look at the TTC ridership in Toronto, it's way down. And when you poll people and ask why, it's because they don't feel safe on the subway.
They're nervous.
And that's a lived experience. That's not something that's just driven by headlines. The rash of carjackings and car thefts in regions like Peel, it's off the charts. And everyone knows somebody who this has happened to. So, I think there needing to be a response to that is important. You have all the premiers, every premier in the country has asked for bail reform of the government. I think it would be very wise for them to listen to that and do that. But this sort of catch and release system of criminal justice that has evolved is not working. And there are definitely votes to be gained from people who want to see it cleaned up. And on this front, I think getting the gun control piece off the table and into things that are more tangibly associated with the things that are going on, so violence on the subways, carjackings, etc., that would be where I would go with it if I were the Liberal government.
Do you think there are, and not to be, not that anyone means it in a crass way, but are there votes to be gained on that issue, do you think, Scott?
Well, there's votes to be lost as well as gained. And so, I really want to echo something Corey just said, because I think it's really important. I mean, sometimes Liberals make the mistake of thinking, oh, well, gun control can be our antidote to any concern with respect to crime. And it does not work that way. So, you heard Corey use this phrase, and you've heard Poilievre use it, catch and release, catch and release. I think that cuts. I think that is getting in people's heads. I think particularly in the city of Toronto and the GTA, when you see all these rash of violent events on the TTC. And so, arguing about whether or not I am or I'm not taking away a hunting rifle from some farmer in Eastern Ontario, I don't think that's where you want to be. They've got to talk about bail reform if they want to take on this issue directly. So I think they decided to cut bait and refocus.
I just have time for one more question, and I'm going to jump off of what Scott said, Kathleen, and give you the last word. I just interviewed Minister Lametti for this program, and he concedes that, yes, there does need to be reform. He's open to perhaps even repealing parts of Bill C-75, but in no way is he saying this is going to happen immediately, or like it's really sort of technical, if that makes sense, in the way that they're answering. Do you think that's the right approach?
I don't know, to be honest. I think that what the party strategists are looking at is how to grow their universe, how to look at those accessible voters, and if crime is going to continue to be an issue because of the reasons that Corey raised and the things that we're seeing in the headlines, then the Liberals are going to have to act in some way, because they don't want to lose any of the ground that they currently have. Currently, Canadians think they're doing an okay job on public safety and crime. But if we keep on hearing Poilievre pound away at Prime Minister Trudeau on the issues, whether it's catch and release, or more crime in our streets, like Harper did in the early years, he will weaken the Liberals consistently, and then therefore the Liberals will have to react.
Okay, I have to leave it there.
Hey,
Thanks,
Vassy, can I add one quick thing?
Yeah, you can really quickly, sure. I think Corey wants
I'll
to
tell you,
go for it. Yeah.
The political level of the Liberal government is going to have to face down their own bureaucracy. That was a bad list that was given to Minister Mendicino, prepared by his officials, and if they're going to do bail reform, they're going to have to face down the Department of Justice, who will oppose it at the bureaucratic level. That's going to be a test to them politically.
Corey, did you want to say something?
No, I'm good. I'll
okay,
leave it right there.
Okay, my producer will be excited by that. Okay, I'm going to leave it there. Thanks, everyone. Scott Reed, Kathleen Monk, and Corey Tedike.